The Alberta Greens have already committed to a province-wide transportation plan. We would like to do things like put in a high-speed rail line between Calgary and Edmonton. Beyond that, we'd like to ensure that Albertans from all over the province can get from where they are to that rail line and back. We want to make sure that Alberta has an opportunity to travel around this province safely, efficiently, and in an environmentally sustainable way. We know that the costs of rail are only 20% of the cost of road. And we know that this is the sort of direction we have to go if we want to get demand-side management going and cut down on our energy usage. There is an affordable housing crisis in Alberta right now. At one point, we had a lot of subsidized housing. It was sold off by this government. We have a plan now to build more subsidized housing, but how are we going to ensure that it doesn't get sold off again? What we need to do is similar to what they're doing in Vancouver. In Vancouver, they only have 1/3 of the homeless per capita that we do in Calgary. And the way that they ensure that those homeless people have places to stay is that the government partners with nonprofits and housing cooperatives so that when they build subsidized housing, there's someone there to maintain it for the long term. We need to get to the root cause of the problem, and we need to ensure that people have homes and that they can keep those homes no matter what happens with government. Making daycare more accessible and affordable is really not the whole of the issue. What we know is that 60% of people who are below the poverty line are single parents. What we need to be looking at is a universal child care subsidy. We're looking at $1,000 a month for children between the ages of 0 and 3 to ensure that people would have an opportunity to get their children started out right. The big issue for people who are below the poverty line, especially in single families, is how do they take care of the children and work? And what we know is we can help that by ensuring that they have some support. Why do we want it to be universal? We want it to be universal because we've seen with non-universal programs that they get clawed back. I believe that we need to really be looking at the system and seeing if we can make it fair for all Albertans. Obviously, insurance companies have to make a fair dollar, but on the other hand, Albertans shouldn't be gouged. We need to review the system, we need to uphold what the courts have done, and we need to move forward. I think that we need a long-term plan to sustain our prosperity. We know that conventional oil and gas are already running out, and we need to look at things that can create jobs for Albertans over the long haul. Certainly we'll have the oil sands for a number of years, but beyond that, what is the average Albertan doing in the rest of the province? We know a lot about drilling holes in the ground. I think we need to look at geo-exchange, we need to look at geothermal, we need to do like Texas is doing and look at wind power. We have a lot of opportunities here in the province, but we need to make a long-range plan right now to transition our economy so that when the time comes that we're out of oil, we have something else that we can do well. I have some real concerns about the state of democracy in Alberta. I think that this province needs fixed election dates. We already see British Columbia and Ontario have fixed election dates. I think that we could tell our people when the election's going to be. Beyond that, we have to look at the returning officers. Why are they appointed by the government? It's kind of crazy. Don't you think it would be wrong if the Flames win the Stanley Cup, then they get to appoint all the refs? It doesn't really seem to work. I think that we need to look very seriously at who's minding the store and how are we handling these things. Beyond that, we need to look at proportional representation or some other similar system. They've already looked at it in British Columbia, Ontario, and Prince Edward Island, and then they've put it on a referendum ballot. What the Alberta Greens would do differently is we would ensure that both the yes and no campaign received equal funding and that politicians were allowed to comment on the ideas. I think that the most important thing for a healthy society is a vibrant and active democracy. I hope that everyone who hears this will get involved. Thank you. Thank you for watching the Alberta Greens response to the 2008 leadership debate. In the debate, you saw 4 leaders asking for the keys to a mighty big car. They want to take Alberta somewhere. But where is that? The Alberta Greens have always been clear. We have a long-range vision for this province. A vision that includes sustainability. It includes taking care of the people of Alberta, because the people of Alberta are some of the best people on the planet, and we want to keep them happy, healthy, and wealthy. If you believe in these ideals and you want to see a better Alberta for the long term, please vote Alberta Greens, March 3rd.